Hina, and welcome to Voices of Truth, one-on-one with Hawaii's future, brought to you by the Kiwani Foundation. I'm Ahu Keikahu Cardwell, and here we are today on the island of Oahu. We're in Kalihi, and we have a very special guest on the show, so let's go on over here and meet him. Hey John, aloha. How are you? John, introduce yourself to everybody.
My name is John Prime with 808 Urban.
But everybody calls you what?
Prime,
the
Uncle
Prime.
Yeah.
Wow. So John, we're standing in front of this incredible mural here today that you painted, yes?
Yes, along with 18 of my good friends.
18, so there were 19 people working on this.
Correct.
Wow, and did you design this?
It was a collaboration between Estria, myself, and then the local artists, the other 17. So basically mine was just the queen.
Wow, awesome. So can we walk down here and kind of get a look at it? I noticed that water plays a significant part of this mural. Why is that?
Well, the theme is water, but like we wanted to paint this, you know, like the solutions. So at the beginning here, we have like what we feel the future Hawaii would be like or should be like. So we have like the catchment water system. We have solar panels on our buildings. We have gardens that grow on the side of our buildings. Instead of just big concrete structure, why don't you use it and combine it with the elements to, you know, to grow your kalo or to grow your fruits and vegetables and have a city that's pretty much self-sustaining. So that's the future here. And then here we have the picture of the Iao stream. Like we just painted the beauty of it, right? And then we showed the grill and how the water's just being diverted, but we never painted the other side where it's just dry riverbed.
Wow. Which it really is today.
Which is what it is today. And so we got that picture, but it's tearing apart with the letters F-L-O-W, flow, Makatu Makai. So it's like we want to break that system, and we want to, you know, we want to look towards the future and build towards the future.
Yeah, and flow, Mauka to Makai, means flow from the mountaintop down to the shore,
the ocean, yes?
Yeah, the ocean. Wow, that's amazing. So the water catchment system is depicted right here in this, yes?
Correct. So
wow.
When it rains, the water comes here, feeds the tubes, and then the tubes kind of like feed our garden. You know, like that would be a futuristic garden here designed by this one was designed by a local artist named Ketch, and then how our future travel would be anti-gravity machines, you know, not dependent on oil, and then how we would still keep the water flowing in its, you know, letting it take its natural course, but
yes,
instead of diverting it, living alongside of it and, you know, having multiple use for it.
Yes, and you know, I like the kids back here sitting in the back playing their video games.
Yeah.
And then we have a lady here with her kid in the back seat, the baby.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this is a vision of the future, yes?
Correct.
Of what it could be like.
Correct.
Wow.
Solar panels on the top. We have like the whole building, this Lego building we call it. You got water catchment on the top. That feeds the building, so the building doesn't depend on any outside water source. And then you got, you know, you got your crops growing around the side. This one is the same. It's a water catchment system. This one is more like a wind turbine, and how to incorporate wind turbines in your, you know, in your architectural structure.
Yes.
In future buildings. And we just, it's really hard because no one knows the answer, right? So we're just kind of playing off what we know now.
This is an incredible view of the future of what could be.
What it could be. Yeah.
And right now, you're right, you know, water displacement and lack of water is a big issue in Hawaii.
Correct.
You know, shipping water from one side of the island to the other for resorts and golf courses and all those things, and depriving it from families and farmers who want to use it to grow their own food to feed their families.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So here we have the top of a building, and we got a little fish pond.
Look at that.
So
look at the fish.
You would have, you know, like a hydroponic, aquaponic garden.
Yes.
You know, on the top of the building. So while people are functioning their day-to-day lives, they can always take a step away from everyday stress and kind of be one with nature again.
And a rooftop garden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
where they can go up there and relax,
Yeah.
be amongst living things,
Right.
green.
Right.
Wow.
Imagine if all the buildings here on Oahu had that same philosophy when they started building.
Yes.
I think we'd be better off than we are now.
Yes, much better off. Much better off. And I see we have some banana here, yes?
Yeah. So the symbol of the banana was like in not just the Hawaiian culture, but in the Samoan culture and Tongan culture, you know, the tree never stops bearing fruit, and it feeds so many people. So even though you have one bunch like this, when you cut it, you feed your people. It grows some more, and it continues for generations and generations. So it's like that's how nature is going to keep feeding us if we think smart and be smart about how we choose to live our lives, instead of depending on, you know, grocery stores to bring in our fruits and vegetables. Especially the whole thing about staying local and eating local. That's why we did this part here.
So John, you're really talking about sustainability and food sovereignty, yes?
Correct.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Now we come to I guess the main part here, the centerpiece,
Yeah.
which is what you did.
Yeah. So my job was to paint the queen, but it was really intimidating at first, because, you know, it's like you're painting the queen, and if you don't pull this off right, everybody's gonna come down on you. But I felt like, you know, when we first did our initial study, I couldn't figure out why the queen, what the queen's role was in the whole water issue, until I hooked up, you know, with some, you know, Kapua Sprott. She educated me, because my first question to her was, does the queen have a significant role in the water issue? And she was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, of course. I mean, it was because of her that, you know, the water is actually a public trust, and companies cannot privatize the water like in other countries. My heart told me to put the queen. I never knew why, but I was learning, and for me it was a learning process. And as I kept painting the queen, it kept bringing tears to my eyes, because I could feel her pain. I could feel what she was going through, just thinking about water, and how, you know, like, the more I studied her, the more I realized that she was very humble in how she did things, and she really cared for her people. So we didn't want to just paint like a throne, her sitting on the throne. We wanted to kind of give it a different twist. So we put the cape here, we dressed it like the land. So here we have, like, this is the crown lands. You have the water flowing in the back, and then over her sash, like as if she's still one with the people, and you know, it's like her heart pouring out to her people. You know, and that's why we wanted to change the sash to water.
Wow.
Going over her heart. The top, there's a yellow butterfly.
In her hair.
In her hair.
Yes.
It was like a brooch that she had from her trip up to England. The thing about the yellow butterflies, you know, when we first started painting, my partner Estria noticed there was a yellow butterfly that kept flying around, and he was like, "Where's this yellow butterfly coming from?" And I was like, "I don't know." So the butterfly will go from that tree to that tree to that tree all afternoon.
While you guys were painting this mural?
While we were painting.
Really?
And we couldn't figure it out. So when we went over to the Queen Liliuokalani Children's Center, we asked them questions like, what's in her hair? And they told us, oh, that's a butterfly. And right there, we just like, oh my God, what color was the butterfly? They said, oh, yellow. Oh, man. So it gave us reassurance that we're on the right track, you know,
wow.
like we're doing the right thing. And then in her original picture, like, the queen has such strong hands, like you could just tell her strength, not just by the way she, you know, she carried herself, but every picture we see in her hands are very, very strong. So that was the other challenge for us, was like trying to paint it so to represent the strength that she held inside. And then we stuck a document inside that, and we left it up to the people for interpretation, put it that way. we have our reasons why, but we don't want to say. We just
Sure.
It's interesting to see, you know, the different interpretations that come through, you know, the feedback from the public.
And a fan in her other hand,
Yeah.
which was in many photographs.
Correct.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really beautiful. This is really, really something.
And then the crown flowers. We didn't know, but we learned from the children's center that the queen loved the butterfly. And so in the back, they still have a lot of these trees in the back where they let the caterpillars just feed and eat and do their thing, you know, turn into butterflies. So that's what that part was for. It was for her and the things that she liked. And we tried our best to make sure that that we did her justice in this piece here.
So John, how long did it take you to paint the queen?
The queen took us about 3 days to complete.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah.
That's fast.
It was myself and then Estria and another guy from the mainland. His name is Vogue. So I really needed their help because it was so intimidating. I know I could do it, but with them as a collaboration, they helped me out a lot. So
Wow.
there's 3 of us, and we hit this thing really quick.
Beautiful. I love the texture in her dress she has on and in her sleeves up there. I guess that's chiffon, yes?
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you do that with spray paint? You know, like
Yeah.
that was a challenge. A lot of this was like first time attempting to paint this kind of stuff, you know, for all of
So
us.
no brushes were used?
No, it's strictly spray paint.
Strictly spray paint. That's amazing.
No stencils, no nothing.
Is this the largest mural you've ever done?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
It's the largest all aerosol mural in Hawaii's history.
Is that right?
Correct.
Wow. How many cans of aerosol paint did it take?
We used about 600 cans of paint and about 30 or 40 gallons of house paint. The Mauka to Makai here was designed by a local legend here. We know him as Quest. And so that's what everybody knows him for, is his letters. He jumped on board, and it was something that he felt like he wanted to do to honor Her Majesty. And then from our visit over at Waihole, Estria came up with this idea to put the images in frames and have the water run through it. So here we have the kalo and how, you know, the water would come from the mountain, hit it.
The taro up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how they like the cold water, and
Yes.
then have that water continue into the fish ponds where they like it a little bit more brackish, a little bit warmer, and then have that continue on into our crops.
So really from here to there, in this short space you've got from the mountain to the ocean, Mauka to Makai.
Correct.
Wow. And I love this fish up here with the mask and the snorkel. That's great. That's great. Now we have the beautiful water coming down. Look at that. My goodness. And coming into the ocean.
Yes.
And is this a particular place that's depicted here, John?
We were trying to capture all the different like the different mountains on various parts of Oahu. So like how if you go out to the west side, it's very brown, and the mountains are chiseled differently. So we tried to do that on the left side. And then when you come out to Waimanalo, the mountains are like grayish, and but the same structure. And then when you go over to the Ko'olaus, it's totally different, and it's very green. So yeah, we tried to mix and match the different mountain types. So this is no place in particular. The artist that worked on the waves, he's a tattoo artist, and so he wanted to just throw up, you know, he's Asian also. So we have the Asian influence, we have the Filipino influence. Pretty much what Oahu or Hawaii is a diversity of culture.
Yes.
And so you have all these different folks that born and raised in Hawaii, representing Hawaii the best that they can using aerosol.
Multicultural.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing. I see you've depicted under the water here some.
Yeah.
The ocean bottom and what's growing under the ocean.
Yeah. And then the ohu. how do you paint Opu or, you know, and make it look cool? Because it's such an ugly fish, you know. But we tried our best, and so we just wanted to change the colors up. But
You know what? He looks friendly. He looks like he's having fun.
yeah, green eyeballs.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he looks like he's having a good time. And then you have some other fish over here.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, of course, we have the humu.
Beautiful turtle, beautiful octopus. Love the goggles on the octopus.
Yeah.
He looks like he's having a good time. Now, John, I also noticed that on the frame or the edge around this entire mural, you have some beautiful patterns
Yeah.
go around here. Who did those?
So the stencil was designed by one of our girls. Her name is Sierra Du, and so she did her interpretation of the kalo
Yes.
and then the water, and to keep it consistent throughout the whole frame. We wanted to frame this thing. So from far, you know, people would look at it and be like, "Oh wow, I really like the texture around the border instead of just one flat color."
So this represents the waves here,
The water, yes.
the water, and then this over here represents the taro
Yes.
or the kalo. He's right here.
Yeah.
The kalo leaf and the stem.
Correct.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, that's her specialty. She does a lot of stencil art, you know, and when we work with the kids, we educate through art.
So did you guys have scaffolding up here to do this?
We had a couple boom lifts and man lifts to take us up. So it was really, really helpful. That shaved on our time because it took us a month to complete the whole thing. With the boom lift, that's what, you know, it would have taken longer if we didn't have the boom lift. So with the boom lift, we could go in on the top, paint, and then we could actually move it back, you know, move ourselves back so we could see how we're doing.
Yeah, get perspective, huh?
Get perspective, and
Yeah.
then go back in and paint some more. So
Before you painted, before you started laying any paint down, did you like trace it out?
what we did was, yeah, we took the sketch, and then we shot a projector onto the wall with the sketch, and then we had all the guys go up and just outline everything so we could place our marks.
Wow, was that like at night?
Yeah,
Oh, that must have been cool.
that was fun. It was real fun. It took
Wow.
us about 3 hours to sketch everything
Really?
out.
You know, it strikes me as taking only a month to do this. That's really fast.
Correct.
So, John, the day you unveiled this mural to the public, something very, very special happened for you, yes?
Yes.
What was that? Tell us about that.
It was Palani Vaughn took me to Mauna Ala.
And that's where the Queen is buried, right?
Yes.
Queen Liliuokalani, who is depicted on the mural.
Yes.
Yes.
To give my gift and to get my blessing from the King and Queen. And you know, I had this whole speech prepared, and I had like everything. I had my plan down on how I was going to present myself, because my father just passed away a year ago, so I wanted to represent, you know, my last name and how we served the kingdom from a long time ago. And then I get there, and they're giving me protocol, and I just lose it. I forget everything, and when I went up to the crypt, I was like, I started stuttering. I didn't know how to act. I'm like, oh, I'm standing in front of the king and queen, and whoa, it was a lot to swallow at once. And then when we were heading out, the guards were kind of explaining protocol. They were like, oh, you know, we're going to stand by the queen the whole time during the event. So here's protocol. We're going to do this. The cows, you know, is going to come do the blessing, and then you're going to hear the poo. And when you hear the poo, they're all going to come.
And that's the conch shell, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
They're all going to come. So I'm like, what? Yeah, you're going to see them. I'm like, yeah, we're expecting about 300, 400. He said, no, they're all coming. I'm like, oh, that's what you mean. Okay, well, that's good because my daughter's a seer. She can see this kind of stuff. And then he's like, don't tell your daughter anything. So as soon as everything happened, like I took off because I seen cameras, right? And so I was like, oh, time for me to walk the other way. I walked away and I felt something on my shoulder. So I turned around, nothing. I'm like, whoa. I turned around this way, nothing. Then I felt them all on my back. And I stood up like this, and I was like, oh, I feel them. I started walking out, like, And at the end of the event, I took my daughters out and I said, hey, you know, we call my daughter's name is Baby. So I said, hey, Baby, how did you like the event? She said, you know, Dad, without me having to say anything, she said, Dad, I seen everybody. Everybody came out. I was like, yeah, we had about 400. She said, no, everybody. The whole river was full of people. This parking lot was full. The HCC parking lot was full, and they were just lined up. It was like all the ancestors came to pay tribute to the Queen. And I just started to cry. I was like, wow. And she said, you know, even Grandpa was there too. So
Wow.
she's seen them all.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's amazing, you know. And that's one of those stories that just stick with you, you know, alongside so many stories that happen. People see the finished product, but the process and how it affected our lives, you know, it changed all of us. All 19 of us were directly affected by this mural and the process. And so we're very thankful. They gave us their blessing, and they hope that we continue our work to speak on behalf of the kingdom, you know, to paint more, and to do more murals and raise awareness on so many different issues. So we look forward to that.
A lot of people have come down here to see the mural and take a picture of it. Yes, John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our unveiling was July 7th. You know, and people are still coming.
People are still coming every day. Yeah. People are still coming down here to see it for themselves and take a picture.
Yeah. You just can't. You can see a picture of it, but it just doesn't
do it justice.
Doesn't do it justice.
No.
You got to come in person and see it.
Yeah.
And look at the Queen 2 stories high. You know?
Yeah.
If the building was higher, I'd paint it even bigger.
Wow.
So we're trying to find walls. There's one that's twice the size. So we're looking at maybe doing one from the first king, and you know, not just the kings on Oahu, but all the other kings. You know, like we have so many stories that we can tell, but that's a lot of research that we got to do on our part. And what we want to do is we want to get, you know, the youngsters involved, because they don't know the history. Now, we don't know the history because we grew up in that generation that just spoke English, but we want them to carry on the stories and become the docets of like this mural and future murals.
Wow.
That's the idea.
Wow. John, is there any danger of people tagging this mural, do you think?
If it was going to happen, then it would have happened already.
Really?
Yeah.
So it hasn't happened.
No.
Which says only one thing to me, which is people really respect this tremendous work of art.
Yes.
And the message that it conveys
Yeah.
to the people.
Yeah. It's funny because you'll see people just come and sit here at night when no one's around, and they'll just, and I know they're taggers, but they just want to kind of see like how we do, like how did we get this on this wall? And that's what baffles the youngsters. Yeah, like, and even the general public too. Like, how can you guys do that with spray can?
Yeah.
You know, but we came from that first generation of graffiti writers in Hawaii, so we did it for our own selves. And now, it's, you know, 25 years later, we see the bigger picture as grown adults, and now we want to use that tool to speak for the public and to speak on issues that normally you'd get censored. You know, whereas graffiti is like, we do what we want to do.
John, this has been an incredible visit here today to an incredible piece of artwork you guys have done. It's just, I mean, it just takes my breath away to stand in front of it, the grandeur of it, the beauty of it, and the magic of it. Thank you so much for showing it to us today and being on Voices of Truth.
Thank you
it's
so
been a
much.
pleasure to have you on the show. And to our viewers, mahalo for being with us on Voices of Truth One-on-One with Hawaii's Future. Remember, you can watch us on the web 24/7 on voicesoftruth.tv.com. I'm Ehu Keikahu Cardwell for the Kiwani Foundation, and until next time, ahui ho! Mahalo for watching Voices of Truth One-on-One with Hawaii's Future. Watch us on the web 24/7 at voicesoftruth.tv.com. You'll find all our shows, including this one, in case you want to see it again or share it with family and friends. Also, view our weekly video commentaries at freehawaiitv.com. And check out our blog, published daily, at freehawaii.info. It's all part of the Free Hawaii Broadcasting Network.